the T's and C's of Life podcast with Tanya and Claire. It's the second to last episode this year.
Wow.
Yeah. This is me now. We missed last week, which we are sincerely apologetic for.
And I forgot to post to say that we missed last week.
I've come off social media.
Have you?
Well, yes and no. Like, I've deleted the app from my phone.
Oh, you have told me this. Why? Why?
Because I find social media in December it can be false and kind of pretentious at the best of times, but in December it's very much like, oh, look at my wonderful tree, look at my lovely coordinated decorations.
I don't have that online. I think I've unfollowed a lot of people in the last couple of years. So
yeah, there's a lot of kind of like goal setting-y stuff, like set yourself up to succeed in the first Q1 of 22. And you're like,
who do you follow?
Oh, I don't follow people. I just follow pages a lot of the time.
Okay.
Because people piss me off, but the pages are also pissing me off. So
everything's pissing you off, so you've stepped off social media.
I've had to step away from it because it's, I don't know, it doesn't make my heart sing in December, and it gives me that whole, I get overwhelmed in December very, very easily. And it also, another truthful fact, it is one of the biggest drains of my time when it comes to crafting and making stuff, because I'm a member of quite a few furniture flipping groups or crafting groups, and it gives me too many ideas.
Right, yeah, you did have a full kind of crafting obsession at the beginning of the month.
Because I get completely overwhelmed. I get very, very, very stressed in kind of late November, early December, because I love Christmas, and it contrasts. It doesn't explain why I get so overwhelmed, because I do love Christmas time. Yeah. I just find the pressure of getting it all organised. I think it's pressure I put on myself, not what other people put on me. And it's all the ideas. Like, I've got Freya's birthday at the beginning of December, and then I've got Aidan's and Connor's just after Christmas. So it's a lot of ideas to have to come up with, like for presents and stuff. Yeah. I know. Well, I mean, the money aside, but you got to spend it at some point, so it's got to be done. But yeah, and then I find myself like in the middle of the night spending like I'm a fucking millionaire on online shopping. I'm like, I'm going to put a limit. I'm going to budget. I'm going to make sure I spend this on the kids, and then Mum and Dad have said they're going to do this, and then so this is from Mum and Dad, but that then means I've got to spend. Oh, it fucks with my head. Honestly, I think I completely overthink it, because my kids, and I know my kids will be like, oh, but Santa doesn't do electronics, Mum, so why is Santa giving so-and-so this? Or, could I ask Santa? And it's like, fucking stop it! I set these rules when you were fucking babies, and now you are
I can change it. Mm-hmm. See, I have teenagers, so this month is like no other. It doesn't really... They're excited because Christmas will see family, but it's not the big deal that it used to be. Like, I have not bought any, besides one present, and that's I've bought for a lot of people, but haven't bought the boys any presents. I've bought Sam not a single present, because I'm just kind of coasting, because it's not, I know I'll get them, and that's it. It's not, I have no pressure. I have no proper Christmas spirit, I guess.
Well, Tanya, that's really sad.
But it's not, do you know what? I don't feel sad. I just feel like, do you know what it is as well? I think I had my birthday last week, and I think as much as I loved it, it's now I've had my birthday. Okay. So normally I'm proper hype, because I'm like, I'm going out for my birthday, and then it's Christmas, and now I've had my birthday. It's like, I'm just chilling now.
Yeah, having an early birthday. But that was really very cleverly planned. Yes. And that was not... You planned that a while ago, didn't you?
A very long time ago, because I know Boris is a cunt. Pardon my language. And I knew there was going to be issues with going out. So it would have been this weekend, would it? This weekend. So at the moment, there's still not loads and loads of restrictions, but it is definitely, looking at how the brunch was, there was no social distancing.
Oh, there wasn't?
Not even... We were so on top of each other, it was ridiculous. You would have hated it. You would have absolutely hated it. I fucking loved it. But that couldn't have happened. So even if we'd gone last year, you weren't allowed to stand up and dance. That's how bad the restrictions, or close the restrictions were. Which that's the joy of garage brunch, is you go and you dance. That So I'm glad I did it when I did. And I did have the best fucking day ever. Mm-hmm. So now, but yeah, I think that's why I'm just chill now. Because I'm like, oh, is this what people have in normal life? You just counting down to Christmas. Like,
oh, wow.
No, it's very weird. But we're going out for my birthday on the actual day, but just the 5 of us. And
yeah.
I'd never get too hype about that anyway, do I?
Well.
Just the 5.
Well, I had, between my family, my immediate family, so my sisters, my mum and dad, my brother, we do a Secret Santa. We've been doing it for about 5 or 6 years now. And last year, I organised it. It's a really simple task. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Oh, I have saved it and not, because I got really drunk with Tanya the other night. And I never know what I talk about when I'm really drunk like that. Like, proper whiskey drunk. Like,
she fell asleep mid-sentence.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going home now. 3 o'clock in the morning. Look at Claire's asleep.
Yeah, but to be completely fair, I do distinctly remember closing my eyes to relieve my eyes very slowly.
Yeah, and they just kept them shut. I was like, oh, okay.
At least I didn't do a Trev and just go to bed. Like, oh, I'll go to the toilet and then just go to bed.
This is true.
Like,
you would never do that to me.
No, I wouldn't. I used to do that.
Really?
Yeah, not to like one-on-one friends, but at a party I would just be like, oh fuck this and go to bed.
We used to just leave clubs actually saying that. We'd just be like, I'm going to the toilet, and we'd go home. Like, absolutely pissed as a fart. It was generally when we were too drunk to really, we shouldn't have been doing that. But it happened a few times and you'd be like, Laura's gone. She's fucking gone. She's just gone. And then one night we all did it one by one until I think Lucy was left on her own and she was like, you fucking bastards. Just had enough. Fuck it.
Oh, because there's nothing worse than the fight of like, oh no, stay out a little bit. When you're gone, you're gone. You just need to go home.
Yes.
But yeah, no, so this Secret Santa. So last year I have a digital assistant. Or it's called an online concierge is actually what it's properly called. Through my sister's work. She gets this work benefit. It's really cool.
I forgot about her.
Yeah, so I can email this online concierge with anything. Like, could you book me a table at wherever for tonight? And they just do it, or book me a...
So cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I haven't totally embraced it. Like, I forget that I've got them.
Right.
And... so I haven't really kind of explored the full limits of what I can really ask them to do. But last year I was like, ooh, I'll get them to do the Secret Santa thing. But it was just a pain in the ass because I had to get all everybody's email addresses and I don't have all my family's email addresses because I don't need my family's email addresses.
No, I wouldn't.
So I thought, fuck it, I decided to do it this year. But I did it really early. In November, I decided I asked the family one morning, do we still want to do Secret Santa? What's the budget? Right, well, I'd do it. So within 10 minutes, I'd sent everybody their names.
Okay.
So I was speaking to my sister Louise a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, oh, because I've been sending, in my head, I feel like I've been sending things in dribs and drabs to her. I haven't. I've sent her one thing. Because I've been thinking about the kids' Christmas presents.
Okay.
And she says, oh, thanks for the present that arrived the other day, all gift wrapped. And I was like, it was from La Secret Santa, and I was like, it doesn't sound like me, but I do know who's got her.
Oh.
And I know that he's asked for some assistance getting the present for her. But I thought maybe he's been brave and he's just ordered something in him. But to say La Secret Santa, I was like, I do know who would say that. That sounds like it's my brother-in-law, Nick. He would say something like that. So I thought, I think I know what's happened, Louise. Let me just get back to you. So I went through all my messages. Oh yeah, given Louise out twice.
Oh, shut up.
Given Louise's name out twice. And my sister Sarah hasn't got anybody.
No! No!
So now I've got to buy 2. I've got to fix it. I know.
Tit.
Total name blindness is terrible.
Wow.
It's my mum, my dad, Sarah, Louise, Gregor, Nick, Trev, Chris. 8 people.
Yes.
It's not a lot of people.
No.
But when I'm writing me, I've written me on one column and Claire on the other, and that's what's fucked in my head. I've done it. And I was kind of racing because I was kind of racing against one of my sisters because I was kind of chatting with Sarah about it. And I know she's quite an action taker. I thought, no, I said it, so I'm going to do it. So I quickly do it all together. And
you will never be trusted again.
No,
at least they noticed. Imagine if it had got to like Christmas.
I know, and Sarah would be the worst one to not send a present for, because Sarah's like the most thoughtful person in the family.
I'd be pissed. That'd be me. I'd be like, you fucking shitting me after all I do for you bastards.
I know. She wasn't best impressed either when I messaged her this morning asking what her Secret Santa list was, or her wish list. Does she have a Secret Santa wish list? Yeah. And she's like, well, they're cutting it a bit fine, don't you think? And I was like, fucking hell, Sarah, just say yes or no.
Oh, no. Secret Santa is difficult. That we did it one year after your recommendation, and we've never done it again.
Really?
No.
Why?
Because we all like presents. So it got...
Oh, see, I would rather have a higher value present from one person than like 5 or 6
but then
lower value
I think
ones.
Because as well, we're all at different financial states. So my big brother, everyone wants a present from my big brother because he's flashy and he will buy the best presents. So, and I think whereas my little brother is brass, so has no money. So then you feel bad saying, right, okay, well, you've got to do 50 quid as well because he's not in the... So it was just like, nah. So he doesn't tend to buy presents at all anyway.
Okay.
That I like buying presents. Leon likes giving presents. So it was just like, nah, screw that. And it's fine.
Oh, if that's it, if it works for you guys. Yeah. But I know I have heard of quite a few families now doing Secret Santa, and it's especially when it's child heavy as well. And to me, Christmas is for the kids. Like, I'm not really... It's nice to open something on Christmas, but I'm really... Like, if all that presents under there were for me, I wouldn't be putting them out the window. Like, I'd be quite happy to open them all. But I don't expect that at all. I'm not bothered. Honestly.
Yeah, I think you know me better.
You're a fucking child.
Yeah, I'm very aware of this fact. I honestly am a child. I love presents. Even with Sam, a lot of the time, he's not good at surprises. So he likes to tell me and get me to check. And I fucking hate it because I love a surprise. Yeah. I like to just be like, oh, even if I don't like it, just that you thought about it getting me something. That I love that. I like to be in people's thoughts.
Yeah. There's no point in having something under the tree that you know you could be using right now because you know what it is.
Yeah. He did it once. He bought me a pair of trainers or boots that I really wanted and wouldn't give them to me. And I was like, I just want my fucking boots. Like, they're there. Give me my... And he wouldn't.
Ooh, I wonder what's in this box.
You're like, meh. Whereas I think because I put so much thought into presents, I'm like, just... surprise, it's not that difficult. I genuinely don't think it is that difficult to find a thoughtful, cheap present. I think if you put your mind to it, you will find something. Where's
your go-to? I know we said we were going to do a gift finder episode, but that's gone out the window because we lost that opportunity when we were supposed to do it last week. There's no point in us doing it this week. No. But we'll give you a little insight onto where is Tanya's top places to buy presents.
I love Etsy because it's all personalised shit. That generally Etsy, I think at Christmas time, I tend to go on there and I have bought, and I know none of them are listening because they're kids, but I've bought all the girls that come on holidays, I've got them all personalised towels. So I've made like the figures, then they look like them and then they've got their name and a little personalised quote. But I love them. And I was so excited when they came the other day. I was giddy. I was like, look how good they are. Because I know how much they'll like it and how cool it'll be on holiday. I can already see a photo of them all lined up holding their towels next to them. I'm like, yes, this is so much fun. But yeah, anything that I can get that's personalised, I think pretty much that's generally most people's presents will be personalised.
My favourite gift to give is books. I fucking love giving books. I love it. And I love receiving books as well. Yeah. Like really, really, really. Not fiction. Don't give me fiction. No. Unless it's a really, really, really good fiction book. But no, I love giving kids books as well. Yeah. Because it's such a... I mean, for us, bedtime with the kids and reading a story always has been, and still is, something we do daily. Does Aidan read? Yeah, he does read, yeah. He's the best reader out of everyone, to be honest. Yeah, he loves reading.
That's good. That's good.
Let me tell you what he likes reading.
Oh, God.
And I shouldn't laugh. Aidan, I'm not laughing at you. He loves reading about World War II.
Okay.
Yeah, he's mega into reading true stories about World War II.
Oh,
and I find
that's interesting.
Yeah, well, I got when I used to work in the nursing home, they had a really nice little collection of books, actually. Did I tell you about this?
No, I just remember I used to want to steal a lot of the books. I didn't. But there were a few there. I was like, I'd like that one.
Yeah, and so I borrowed one once, and it was called Trenches, and it was quite a short book, but it was about a young guy called Billy. He was actually 15, 16, but he had to be 17 or 18 to join the army. But he lied about his age, got into the army, was in the front line. He was in the trenches, and it was his like diarised event or story of what it was like to be out there. And Aidan just found it absolutely captivating.
Okay.
So he's actually written on his list for Christmas that he wants World War II books.
Oh, that is good though. It's good
great.
to have an understanding of history.
I mean, and I wish, to be fair, that I had more of an interest in history and really paid attention to it, because when events get spoken about now, I'm like, when was that?
But see, I've always, like Charlie, I think history is Charlie's favourite subject, but they do history better than they did definitely when I was at school. I think being a girls' school, they were fucking sexist anyway. Like, it was, when I look back on stuff that we had to learn. But we didn't, even when we did like the World War, it was more like sewing in the World War and stupid things. Like, we didn't learn about the actual war. Not that I fucking remember anyway. Not that I paid much attention in school. But I wish that they taught more in school. Like now, even some of the stuff that Charlie, like he was doing the civil rights movement the other day, and you think that's interesting, and that's something that's talked about so much that you should be doing it. I still think they should talk about colonisation on the curriculum, and possibly they will in years to come, but they should, because history is fascinating, because if you don't talk about history, then you make the same mistakes. It's so important to have an understanding of history. So I think it's good when kids, I wish, even like when my grandma and both, I was just going to lie, both my grandparents are dead and not. My mum's parents are alive. That's awful. It's because we don't talk to her. My mum doesn't talk to her. She says very rude things about her mother. But my dad's parents are both dead, and I wish I'd talked to them more about like when they came over and like the Windrush generation and things like that. You think I had it there on a plate, but I was too young and ignorant to really. And
do you know what? I think it's from the young people that I've been working with recently, and I always ask them about what their favourite subjects are in school when you kind of look at those protective factors, and some of them will say there's a common theme around the subjects that they're talking about in this particular school that I'm working in, and geography is one of them that I can't remember if it said they like it or loathe it. And is it the teacher or is it subject? And it's always actually, don't hold me to this if it's like or loathe, but it's geography because of the teacher. They either love it because of the teacher or they dislike it because of the teacher. And I think the teacher, the person that you are and how you deliver what it is that you're talking about makes all the difference to a young person. It really does.
And I see that with Part, that I think it goes so well. I'm just picking myself up. I could hear it coming out. I was just going to go on to say how amazing. Oh dear God, I should stop myself at points. But equally, my point was that I think they engage well because I'm engaged in it and I feel passionate about it. So I don't shy away from their questioning. I'm animated when I talk about it. So I think it draws people in. Whereas if you turn on something, like I still do it. If I turn on, say something and the person that's talking about it is dry, it doesn't matter if the conversation matter is something I'm really interested in. I'm done. I can't take that in. It's shit. So I can see that even in school, that like you said, teachers that I might not like the subject, but they were a cool person. Yeah. It was like, yeah, all right then. I won't climb out of the window in your lesson. I'm going to stay in the room. But it's much nicer.
Oh, but look, we wanted to talk about negative people and surviving. I think at Christmas time, some of us feel the obligation or feel forced to surround ourselves with people that maybe we don't, whether that's like a work Christmas event, whether they're going ahead this year or not. Fucking hell, how many years have we been saying this for now? Is this the second year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the long and the short of it is negative people. Negativity as a whole, but negative people, I think, are... It's hard because I think even when we start talking about it, you can spiral into that negative place yourself, can't you?
It is actually really... Like when we were saying we were going to do this, and I was being really negative about it. I was like, for fuck's sake, it's catching. Mm-hmm. It is. But I think that's partly why I don't like negativity and negative people, because of how it does bring you down.
Yeah.
I am, at my core, a positive person.
Yeah.
I am an optimist. I am hopeful. I am a fixer. I am forward thinking. And sometimes that negativeness, it can push you back. And it's like, it's like a physical thing, although it's not, obviously. But
you have to resist it, don't you? You have to really... You can feel the pull. That reminds me... I'm going to get Connor a metal detector for his Christmas. That's fucking crazy. That has just come into my head. I'm really sorry. I'm going to put that in my notes.
Do it. Metal detector. Resisting the negativity. See, this is how Claire's brain works. That was a real insight into your brain. Which is quite scary.
And this is why I get overwhelmed and stressed, because I'm never ever switching off.
No, but that's it.
But yeah, negative people, it's... I think you can have negative thoughts and not be a negative person.
Yes. I think that's a very different thing. I think we all have negative thoughts. We all should be allowed to have negative thoughts. We're all going to have a down day. It's when it's the people that it's constant. It's constantly stressful, and even when that stress is something that they can do something about. I've probably said this before because I always say it, but if you can fix something, then at some point you've got to do that, or you just end up going around in this spiral of negativity and this spiral of stress and pain, and it just gets to a point where, of course, you're going to be down, and of course you're going to be low. And it's not... We work in mental health. I know it's not as simple as just going, just come on, do better.
Yeah, you can't just G yourself up,
But some people are negative at their core. And I can't...
I wonder where that comes from, though, because that is really difficult to understand. And quite often it can be people that are really, really close to you. And that is the hardest thing. Like, after Trevor's accident, for a long time after Trevor's accident, he was a very, very, very negative person. Okay. And I don't know whether... Because I think love and joy are a stronger force for good. But is it strong enough to pull somebody out of that negative thinking? I think negativity is like a kind of slightly tighter wound elastic that once you let it go, once the kind of joy and the love is kind of seared away from it, it just pulls itself back into that negative spiral again. Can you unlearn that? I'd like to think you can.
I'd like to think you could, but then equally, when I think of a lot of people that I would say are more negative forces, I don't know that... I think it is such an entrenched mindset for some that I think it's a lot more difficult than... Definitely a lot more difficult than I think it is. I get that. But I struggle with it. I'm learning to see it as part of my weakness of not being able to be more empathetic to some negative people, because I think that we should be empathetic and we should be accepting. But I think when it is that constant,
it's the same thing all the time.
It's so and it's...
How can you empathise with that?
And I think it does. I think I've definitely, as I've grown, I'm very picky in who I spend my time with, or who actually I let into this kind of inner circle. My inner circle is who they are because of what they bring, and it's that thing of the 5 people you're around the most or whatever else.
Yeah.
And that's very important to me. I don't want that negativity in my life. I don't want that. So I think if I look at the majority of people that I spend the most time with, they're generally pretty positive, forward thinking, generally, not all, but generally that is the people that I'm happiest around, that I just can't do. Whinging bugs me. I can't, it just, as a noise, it is a noise. I don't even hear words when people start whinging.
Oh, I know.
I'm just like,
and you can see it in the body language as well. Like, if Trev's had a bad day, and even if I've had a bad day, I'm aware of my body language. I'm aware of my irritabilities. But I'm also aware of how I flip it, how I turn it round. Yeah. Trev, I don't know if he's aware until I tell him that he's doing it.
Okay. Is that... Because I do wonder with Trev. I've obviously known Trev, it feels like forever, but only known Trev post-accident.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's such a hard one to say, because Trev and I, we got together 13 years ago in the October. He then moved down here in the November, worked for a month until Christmas, came home, and we moved down here together in the January. So in the first 3 months of our relationship, we were only together for a month. Moved down here in the January with a total stranger.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was pregnant with Aiden by April.
Wow.
And so... And he was self-employed, and he was not a very good self-employed person. He wasn't very good at managing his time on his calendar.
Okay, so that hasn't changed.
No. So we never had family time. He never would take a week off and we're going on holiday. Whenever the first few years of us living down here, I don't think we went home together to Scotland. Once. I think I was always going, because I guess I had Aiden, and I was going home in the first year when I was pregnant to see my friends because I missed them. And then when I had the baby, it was going home to see my mum or going home to see Trev's mum. We didn't need that family holiday because family were tiny, so it wasn't really... And there was no other kids to spend time with because Aiden was the first one. So it's really, really difficult to gauge because I guess, in a nutshell, I didn't really know Trev all that well. If I'm being totally honest.
No, I think we had...
It felt right. I never ever felt like, oh my God, what am I doing? When he said to me, oh, I'm moving to Kent, we've only known each other a week, but do you want to come with me? And I was like, yeah, I do.
Just mental.
I know, but it felt right. It didn't feel like it was...
No, and it has obviously lasted, so there was something right, but I do think there's something in, even with Sam and I think we'd been together less than a year by the time I found out I was pregnant, but within that year... You could probably count on one hand the times we spent... I'm thinking if my dad listens to this or not. Outside...
Just as a couple doing day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. It was generally, if we were out of the house, we were out with all of our mates. That there was always a group of us. I am a group person, like everyone knows that. I do I'm not a one-on-one anyway. But we didn't really have that much, barely any one-on-one time.
Yeah.
So I think that... As much as I knew him socially. So I think that you get a different picture of someone then when it's just the two of you forced together every day for the rest of your life. It's very different. And I think that I wonder, because he can be quite a negative person. He's a very stressed, not stressful. He is stressful. Stressed person. But I don't know whether that was... him or not before, or whether, and then we had kids, and then like you said,
because it changes your life. That dynamic changes, and I never really spent a great deal of time with Trevor, just with family life before the accident, and that's quite sad because Aiden was 3 when he had the accident.
It's difficult though, because I think Sam and I were lucky in that. He was self-employed as well, but he was still... It felt like he was around a fair bit. But equally, I think I was always busy because once I had Callum, it felt like my friends had kids bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
A lot of Sam's boy mates, their girlfriends were having kids. So I always felt like I always had something to do. It was very rare I'd just be sat at home with Callum. And then I had Charlie, obviously, a year later. And then not long before we had Boo. So it was... I feel like we always did loads, and we have had holidays, always had holidays abroad. We've always done family things. And I think that's what moving to Kent changed. I think that's where the dynamic shifted again with me and Sam, because we've both been taken out of our kind of natural habitats. And I've been lucky and made very good friends here. That I think he has still really struggled.
Do you know what? Just as you said that, national habitats, I just heard David Attenborough talking, narrating this conversation.
Tanya and her natural habitat. It is. Croydon is like a fucking zoo, so it probably is. But I think that it does... People do change, and I think that if we're looking at kind of negativity and that as if that's in you, I think you see that in people a lot. But yeah, it does intrigue me to whether or not that was who, say, like with someone like Sam, whether that was there and whether you just don't pick up on it.
Yeah.
But then I know I've got friends that the whole time I've been friends with them, they've probably been quite negative people. That it's not even that in a, I suppose, necessarily bad way, that maybe they're overthinkers or they're anxious or their go-to is to worry and to be stressed, and my go-to is to go fuck it. Like, I'm genuinely like, if I can't change it, what am I going to stress about it for when I can do something about it? That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, that I've got to be more empathetic to others, of going, right, just because they don't think like you doesn't make them wrong.
Yeah. I sometimes find myself playing devil's advocate sometimes, which has bitten me in the... Do you want the cushion for behind there?
No.
You're quite comfy with that?
Yeah. With this teddy
I find myself kind of getting caught on the tail by playing devil's advocate, kind of seeing the other person's perspective, but kind of understanding that there could be another side to that story. And this is more so like with Trev. He likes to, if he's having a moan about something, if he's having a good old whinge and he's been really, really, really fucking negative, and I'm at the cusp of wanting to hurt him, and I'll play devil's advocate to try, because I'm like you, I try and fix, I try and educate, I try and help him see the light. But Trevor's brain, and what I've understood now since working with a psychologist, is that he is potentially going to be unable to see, to think in that pattern. So understanding that he doesn't see the grey areas. So things are black or they're white. They're doing things or they're not doing things. The person indicated or they didn't indicate. There's no explanation as to why that happened. It doesn't need to happen. He just needs to know that they didn't or they did, and then this happened. If I try and say, well, remember the last time we were at the roundabout and you didn't indicate and someone took the horn, that's not helpful.
No.
I learnt that a long time ago. And really, it didn't stop me straight away. Because I still thought at some point there's hope. I'll still be able to help him. But yeah, playing devil's advocate doesn't always help. But for me, it does, because I have to negate the negativity. I have to balance it out so that I'm not... you get caught up in, like, say somebody does you wrong or somebody kind of does something a bit shady towards you, and you get all hooped up in the moment. You're like, oh, it's a fucking bastard doing that, really fucking shady. And you want to understand that there could be a potential explanation as to why that happened. But part of you really wants to feed into the shitness. Nah, they're just a bastard. They're just a really shit person.
Yeah.
But does that make you as bad?
I suppose it depends on the situation. I was just thinking as you were talking then of I've noticed you do that in situations, and I was looking back through my text following conversations that we were having when we were pissed, and I don't think I ever have deleted my WhatsApp, so it goes back years and years and fucking years, and I was looking back and you had done exactly that and played devil's advocate on a situation that I was in a full mind swirl of hate with, and you were very much being, and you tried to see the good, and you did help to bring it round to a sense of kind of resolution. But what is actually the way that you do that isn't just, because I think I have a habit then of just going, okay, cool, whatever, done, it's done, but it's not actually done. You actually do resolve a situation, though. Okay. You don't tend to just let it go. You'll say your point of view, so that it's done. I'm playing devil's advocate, but you will know how I feel, but I am seeing it from, it's a very good way that you've got of managing it. I just go, no, okay, cool, whatever.
Do you not find that, because that's kind of lacking empathy, really, doing that, playing devil's advocate, because it's like, I hear what you're saying, but have you thought about it like this? Rather than saying, I hear you, that must feel really, really fucking shit, having somebody do that to you. Oh, but have you tried thinking about it in another way? Because that almost negates the empathy that you're displaying with somebody.
No, I don't know. I think that empathy is a difficult one, because you can have empathy, but that doesn't mean that they have to, you can just let them get away with it. Mm-hmm. Because that's not helpful. Because if you don't speak your mind and let someone know where they might have hurt you, or where it might be just a negative situation and they're feeding into that, then they'll never change. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer, if someone doesn't know something, then how are they ever going to change? They're just going to keep doing it. It's when people fucking know and then they keep fucking doing it. Yeah. At that point, then I'm like, I'm out now. Yeah. I'm not playing this game anymore. So I think you can have that empathy. Like, even the work that we do is, we are all empathetic people, but we have to then try and find a coping strategy for that person to be able to deal with their shit, because that's essentially why we're there. It's not about fixing it, but it's being able to be empathetic and go, right, okay, why don't we try these things, or what do you want to try? And I think ultimately that does help generally to pull people out and get them to start looking at it for themselves. And not everyone, I suppose, is able to do that. And I do think the brain is a mysterious tool. Yeah. And I think that there are different levels of, which is why they say a lot of people, like drugs and alcohol, use drugs and alcohol to replace serotonin levels and endorphins and shit like that. So I think that as much as I honestly can't stand negativity and negative people, I can see there are reasoning for it, but that doesn't mean that I'm always going to handle it in the best way, because I know I won't.
So with that kind of level of negativity, do you think that's kind of borderline depression, having that continuous... Yeah. I
think that there is, I don't know, maybe not depression, I don't know, like clinical depression, but I do think that I bet if you did a thingy in the brain, they'd be lacking in certain bits and pieces, or wherever the positive gene is. They've got more of the negative gene. That, I think that it is. I think the brain does. We are all different, aren't we? And if we're all the same, it'd be boring.
Yeah, I know, but just when it's people that you surround yourself with, you like to think that, yes, people grow together, and you think when you grow and you change, that you think that, or you'd want everybody else to grow and change with you, because that's what's supposed to happen, isn't it?
Yes.
People get old together and all their friends live together. And I was watching the very last episode of Alexa and Katie with Freya this morning on Netflix. It's a really... You've told me you don't like it.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's a really nice...
Is it like a Disney American...
No, it's American, but it's not Disney. It's
them with the high-pitched voices and the...
No, they're not. It's a really... I don't know, it's a really nice little... story about friends who live next door to each other, and they've gone through high school. Yeah, it kind of is us, but without the big fancy American house and the dad who's a pilot type job. Aww. And the single mum who looks like she's got an amazing life. Like, it's not like sometimes it's the dream, isn't it? I'm sure if there's any single mums that listen to this, that might be offensive, and I don't mean it to be offensive, but
it's just our dream.
Yeah, it's our fantasy.
Oh dear.
But yeah, it's a really nice bond that they've got together. These two girls, and they were both making decisions about what universities they were going to go off to, and they've done every single thing together in their life. And they had to split because their futures were taking them to different universities, and they were absolutely devastated. Now I can't remember what point I was trying to make with this, but
I've forgotten.
Oh, bloody hell! What were we talking
about? Negativity. No, it's gone.
I'm just going to leave it. I was going to piss you all off now, isn't it? Because you can all rewind and listen, but I can't without pausing the recording and going
go back.
Oh, I'm just going to leave it out.
No, it'll come back at some point. But no, I don't know. I actually have no clue. But I was thinking though, I wonder as well between whether sometimes certain people bring the negativity out in other people. Do you know what I mean? Like,
ooh, that's a good point. I think. Yes. I do think they do.
I'm thinking, say, like, if I even think of, say with Trev, that I'm not saying that Trev's a negative person, but saying that he can be like that with you because you're kind of his safe space.
Yeah.
So it can be more... You can be more vulnerable, I suppose. And I know that I'm not good for vulnerability. So maybe that's also why negativity doesn't sit with me, because I push vulnerability away.
Okay.
Just psychoanalyzing myself.
Okay. My way of dealing with Trev when he's like that, because what I've realised is that he's not actually looking for me to fix it. He's not looking for me to offer him solutions.
Yeah, no, I've realised
or
that.
to answer it at all. He just wants me to empathise with him. He just wants me to hear him, to understand him, to give him a cuddle, and just say, yeah, it's really fucking shit, without saying, oh, but maybe they were having a bad day too. That's like sticking a fucking hot poker at him. Yeah. Like, he just goes fucking mental when I say stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
But I just can't, it goes against every fibre of my being to feed into that, because I think it's going to make him worse. I now understand that it doesn't.
I think that is a point, though. It is, I feel like if you feed into it, because Sam's the same, if he's going on a full whinge, that I will listen, but I feel like if I empathise, then that's going to make you worse, and that's going to validate the whinge, and then the whinge is going to continue. Yeah. Whereas I think some people do just need to maybe get it out.
And be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe if they don't feel heard, then they whinge more.
Yeah, well, I flipped it with Trev's a couple of times. I've just put it to the test. Like, if I've had a bad day, like, quite often I'll just, especially if it's work-related, it's not necessarily something that I feel that Trevor can necessarily help with, but I'll test him.
Test him?
Yeah, test him to see what he'll do. And only to see if he does for me what he wants me to do for him. Yeah, and he doesn't.
Dangerous. I was going to say that's a dangerous game.
It is a very dangerous game, because he doesn't, because he tries to offer me solutions. And
does he?
Yeah, he does. And he does it because he thinks that's what I want, because that's what I've always done for him. So I fucking made a run for my own back.
See, that is actually really interesting. Oh. See, Sam wouldn't offer solutions. He just probably wouldn't listen.
Come on, let's have a good old fucking moan about it together.
It would, or it would end up as a topper. I don't do toppers either.
What's a topper?
So if I say I've had a bad day,
his is
I've
worse.
had a worse day.
Oh yeah, oh no,
I've had a bad year.
I can't suffer that.
No, I've had a bad fucking life. Right? And we could keep going. Like, my last life, the person I was in my last life was shit as well. So that's where we get in a circle of just topping. Fucking nonsense. Oh, the joys of Christmas. But ultimately, I suppose it is empathy and understanding and knowing a person. But equally, I am just a firm believer, though. If someone is going to be too much negative energy in my life, then you got to go. Yeah. I'm sorry. I've tried. Yeah. I'm not in the first instance, but it won't be long before. Yeah. And they won't even know, because I will slowly take myself away. I don't need to have a row. I've realised that as I've got older as well. I don't need a row about everything.
No justification.
I just need to just step away.
You don't fit my glove anymore.
Yeah, that's it. You can, I think it was you and Sally recently, and I just said, I'm done with pulling people on their shit all the time. I'll pull people on shit that matters and it's going to impact my life, but I'm just done with pulling people on their shit when they're not going to own it anyway. Because you're going to own your shit if you're going to own your shit. Yeah,
fair enough. If you are confident and you can say to somebody, you've done this and it didn't really make me feel all that great. Yeah. And they would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I did not realise that would have that impact. Yes. But if you know it's going to be met with, oh, but, well, on a long-winded story, that's not cool.
No, no. Too old for that nonsense. We've been through it. Like, I went to a girls' school, for fuck's sake. It was bitchy, it was negative, it was hormonal. I'm a grown-ass woman. Yeah. I don't need to do that shit anymore. Yeah. And I've got teenage children that I have to have around me, and they're negative little fuckers anyway. So, I have no choice in that. Anyone else I have a choice with.
Talking of negativity, well, it's not really negativity. Yesterday, when I picked up Connor from school, the teacher kind of pulled me to the side and says, we looked a little bit faint at lunchtime. We were almost going to have to call you. And but he had something to eat in the end, and then he perked up and he was absolutely fine. But on the way home, or when we got home, I tend not to have too much chats on the way because the wind in my ears and all the cars going around it. And he's so short, and I'm like, "Ooh, pardon," like put my ear to the ground to try and hear him. Aww. So when we got home, we were talking about it, and he said, "Oh, I was in the toilet doing a poo, and I was crying," and I was like, "Oh, sitting alone in the toilet crying. Oh, whilst you're doing a shit."
Oh, bless him.
And
why was he crying?
Well, this is what I was trying to figure out, because he said, "Oh, I had a bit of a sore tummy, but then after I ate something, I was fine." But he didn't eat his breakfast yesterday morning.
Okay.
And that is not like Connor. Like, he loads up in the morning. He feasts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He'll have like 4 Weetabix and toast and fruit. Yeah. He's like...
Wow.
Yeah, a bit of a gannet in the morning.
No wonder he's shitting at school.
Yeah. So I said to him, were you feeling sick because you wanted to be sick, or did you have just a funny feeling in your tummy? Because I had a feeling that I knew where this was going. And he said, "Oh, I had a funny feeling in my tummy. I was worried." And I was like, he's worried about the Christmas performance, because he's got a really special part, like playing Joseph. But it's not a speaking part, it's only early years. But a lot of the adults, I think, at school have been making a fuss about it, and he's very, very anxious about it.
Bless him.
And yeah, he was feeling sick about it at school yesterday because they were doing a dress rehearsal to the older years.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but Aiden's exactly the same. Aiden reacts in the same way.
Oh no, I'm a nervous belly. Mm-hmm. Nervous, even if I'm excited, I get a nervous belly. Before I go out, I'm definitely going to be in the toilet for a while because I just get overexcited. But if I'm nervous, if I'm excited, that is where my physical emotion sits. It's really interesting. I remember when I started MAB and looking at physical emotions, or like physical sensations even, that it's really interesting how they kind of manifest, and how once you start to pick up on that, how much easier it is to deal with and not let it spiral into something.
And that's what I was so pleased at yesterday when Connor realised that he didn't feel sick because he had a sore tummy, he just had a funny tummy. Oh, he was worried.
That's very emotionally intelligent for such a small child.
I know. I try my best.
No. Well done, you. See, we are bloody amazing.
Fully taking the credit for that one.
We are positive and full of ourselves. It works for us.
Oh dear, but no, I am excited to see the show because
it'll be very cute, and at least you get to go and see it because a lot of them have been cancelled and shit, haven't they?
Yeah, well, only one parent's allowed to go, and he was quite upset last night when he realised that Trev wasn't going to be able to go.
That is really harsh as well.
I know.
Because what if you've got, like, you're in a same household family as well?
Yeah, I know.
If you've got a split family, that could cause real tension as well. That's fucking COVID.
I know.
Over it.
Oh, God, so am I. Every young person that I've spoken to recently they've had a reason to speak to me because of lockdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck
that the reason that they're sitting in front of me or that we're having a conversation is because
a COVID connection.
COVID started it all.
It's so shitty. But one day we'll be out of it. Not this day.
When though?
Never. Never. No, optimistic. It will be fine. And we are in a better situation than a lot of people in the world. See? Fixer. But,
devil's advocate.
Yes.
I want you to hear me. I want you to hear my pain.
No, I don't want to hear you. I can't do whinging. Stop it. No, it'll be fine. But on that note...
I think we should save the best till next week.
Till next week. We are the best.
Yeah. And we hope we didn't piss you off too much by missing last week, but
sorry.
We will be.
Just listen. You should have just listened back to an old one and pretended. Yeah. That's what I would have done. Because
I wonder if we should do a poll actually to see what has been the most popular podcast this year.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we had a bit of a giant break over the summer, didn't we?
We did have a giant break.
We don't plan on taking any breaks. Oh, wait, no, I've just said it. Shit.
No.
I need to stop saying stuff like that and commit myself to it. I think everybody's aware that we need to be flexy because of our lifestyle, our businesses, our full-time work, our children, our living situation.
Yeah, seriously. But we've done well.
Pretty well, yeah.
We have. I think we're all right.
Yeah. We haven't currently received any fan mail for Christmas, of which I'm quite disappointed at. I know. I was expecting a Christmas present from the fans.
That's really optimistic, that is. Right, someone send us a present.
Yeah, a surprise. A surprise in the mail.
Yes.
A surprise in the mail.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, we'll speak to you next week. Love you.
Bye.